Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coach's Lounge. So today we have myself, Zafrana, and we have Carla with us today. It's January here at the moment, right near the end of January. And it's that time where those New Year's resolutions are starting to kind of fade and get thrown out the window a little bit. The gyms are still busy, although we reckon there's about another 2 weeks before they start to become a little bit more quiet. So the topic today is self-care. Carla, do you want to kick us off with this one?
Yes. All these people with the New Year's resolutions. Yeah, I was at the gym and actually not because of a New Year resolution, but because I wanted to start it anyway, because I have a goal for this summer. I started going to the gym again, which I needed to do for a long time. Haven't done any sports for a year now. And that was it's not good, especially since I had this rehab still. And I was surprised by how busy it was with groups and everywhere. And I was kind of like, gosh, is it always this busy? And they said like, nah, just wait for 6 weeks. And like the first 6 weeks of the new year, it's huge busy. It's very busy. But after like 4 weeks, it starts to slow down. And about 6 weeks, you don't even see half of the people anymore. So I was kind of like, whoa, that's quite something. I knew people have a hard time to keep New Year's resolutions, but that it was that big, I did not know that. And yeah, especially most of the New Year's resolutions are about something with self-care. Like I'm going to do sport better, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to start with meditation, all these things. Most people go around those kind of things, which is good. They realize that we need self-care, that obviously it's something they want and they don't do. Otherwise, you don't make that a resolution, a decision to start it. And it is such an important thing to do. Like you just said, we had a little chat before we started this, and a lot of people don't take time for themselves. And that's where burnouts, they're everywhere. We don't take that time. If I tell people when I have them as a client or I just talk to them and I tell them it's taking 15 minutes a day to stay out of a burnout for the rest of your life. And they say like, oh, only 15 minutes? Great. I say, yeah, great. Who wants to take 15 minutes for that? And you see all these fingers go up when you're in a group. And then the next question is like, who is going to do it? And that's where a lot of those fingers go like down. We don't even want to take 15 minutes out of 24 hours to do the right self-care to keep the stress levels down and stay out of burnout and all the problems that go with that. So
Well, it's interesting because you said you haven't done kind of exercise for a year as well.
Sport. I did do my other
specifically.
so.
Yeah, I know you do your other self. I purposely didn't say self-care. I know you do self-care, but you hadn't done sport for nearly a year. So what do you think are the challenges that people face when trying to do these things they know are good for them, that they clearly want, but then struggle to actually follow up on? What was stopping you specifically with the sport side of things?
Well, for me, what did stop me? Well, actually, I didn't have to push anymore because after I broke my legs, I had 2 years of physical therapy. So, of course, I have somebody pushing me and I have these appointments, so I go. And then in January, my physical therapy stopped. And I kept saying, oh, I need to go to the gym. And I was just too lazy. I was kind of like not motivated to go by myself, even though I knew before I broke my legs, I went to the gym. I loved it. And I would feel a lot better. My physical condition would be a lot better. How do you call that? Conditional, that you can run and keep it going without like falling over. Um, that was it. I had somehow not the that's it, the motivation for it. Laziness, life took over. Busy, busy, busy. Everything was more important, even though it was crap what I did. It still was more important. So and I did not have a goal. I did not set
Mm,
a goal for that. And I know from my work, setting goals in that is so important. But what I hear most people around me is life takes over, our
yeah.
busy life.
Well, I think it's also, and we've discussed this before on the podcast, where it's we set these goals, like, I want to become fitter, I want to lose a certain amount of weight. These tend to be the most common New Year's resolutions. And then after a little while, you start to get this voice coming in saying, I don't feel like it today. Oh, it's cozy to stay in bed. And it's this other side of ourselves that like are lazy and are just thinking, I just don't feel like going and doing these things. So I've been doing more self-care recently, and started before January. So I'm very proud. I don't wait for the first to
Yes.
then make changes, because I know that's setting myself up for failure often, because it's like waiting for some future event, and then like everything's going to be different once that time comes. So I started mid-December. It was really random. I was just like, right, I really want to make a change for me. And I
Yeah.
think the reason people make so many New Year's resolutions is because it's a marker of a new year, right? So it's that marker of, we're ending the old, let's start with the new. And they say new year, new me. And that's all about, I'm going to become this version of myself that I know I can be, but have not chosen to in the past, or have tried and maybe it's fallen off the wayside. So that's why January entices so many people to the gym and encourages so many people to make these resolutions for whatever reason, making these little healthier shifts, because we all want it. We deeply want it. But it comes into, why don't more of us follow through and keep doing it? Because why is it that in February, like today at the gym, I went to the gym today, it was way busier than in December. So much busier. I was thinking, I liked it when it was quieter.
Yeah.
But what tends to happen in February? And that's the interesting question. Is it just a lack of motivation? Is it just laziness? Is it that we no longer have the goal in mind? What is it that really, really shifts people off of it within that time? It seems like time is the very thing that, once it passes, enough weeks pass by, people can't be bothered anymore. People stop showing up for themselves. And it's almost like an abandonment of the self. And there's something I've noticed where abandonment, that might be a really harsh word, but something I know with myself. I've set a goal. I said, I'm going to work out this many times. And then after 2-3 weeks, oh no, I missed that one, and I missed another workout. And then, let's just watch TV. And so I've been in that before. And recently I've been doing more self-care in terms of doing more meditation and showing up and building my self-trust with myself as well. So that self-esteem, self-trust. And I'm finding it's a lot easier this time, although it is still January, so give me a few months.
Keep
But
it
do you
going.
think it's the relationship that people have with themselves that then causes things to fall off?
No, there's not a component that I think, of course, this is my opinion. There's not a component, and that's our brain,
Mm,
our brain fuck. We have a brain that is programmed in a certain way. What we put in our brain most is what the brain accepts as the normal and what it wants to stay in. So,
mhm,
in the habit of not doing what you want to do, there is this pattern inside that, oh yeah, I want it, but I'm not doing anything for it. I want it, but it means change. I want it, but then I have to let go of this, or I have to push through for that. And the brain doesn't want to change, whether it's good behavior or bad behavior. It doesn't want the change by itself. So going for a New Year's resolution is a huge change. And the brain, whenever we want to change something, is going to go like, ying, yong, ying, yong, ying. It wants to pull you away from that because it is actually danger. Change is danger for the brain. For the brain. So it starts to have all these stupid thoughts like, oh, this is not good, that's more important, that you shouldn't do, oh, that would be nicer, better, you would have more fun, all these brain fucks. It's not true, but you believe it's true because you repeat it again and again, and that's a brain that does not want to change. And when you really want to change something, you have to realize that it first of all becomes really uncomfortable, because that's that brain going like trying you to get you away from that change, because that's danger. So you have to push through that uncomfortable time. And then the more you keep going with it, that's where slowly, that's what you put in most. And then the brain slowly starts believing that the most. And then that's your new truth. But it takes up to like 3 months to even a year, depending on how deep a pattern is, how long you have done something. But so at least 3 months to change the patterns, to have literally these neural pathways inside to be built strong enough to keep that behavior that way. So even though your brain tells you, like, don't do it, or, oh yeah, stupid, you've got it again, so it's no use anymore, all these thoughts, forget about it. I had it actually this morning. I would go to the gym yesterday, and I had to get up at 5:30, so I was so tired, so I went back to bed, and I knew then I would have to go today. So yesterday evening, I was tired, and I was like, oh, shall I really go in the morning or whatever? So, and this was a really nice thing. I somehow believed in myself, I can do this. But I wanna get it out of my own. So I kind of thrown to the universe, like, I'm not gonna set my my alarm. If anything in me really wants to change, I want to get up at 8 o'clock. I want to be awake at 8, and I want to be fit and awake enough to feel I want to get out. And I was kind of like, yeah, sure. But hey, let's try it. So I made it a challenge, actually. Well, 7:45, I heard a pling from my SMS, and a WhatsApp came in. It's like, hey, that's like a alarm then. And I knew right away what I had thought before going to sleep. It's like, oh no, but I'm too tired. And I'm like, no, the other side, like, you wanted to get up, you want to change the pattern, so you better get up. Otherwise, so that discussion was there. And I'm in 3 weeks busy now with that. So I really, well, and at one point, it was around 8 o'clock, 3 past 8 something. And I suddenly was so awake and so like, gosh, well, I better get up anyway. I'm so awake now. And then I got to do things very quick, because it was still that little thing like, oh, it's too late already, you have to walk the dog, you're not going to make it. So it was literally these two voices at the same time. They had this discussion going on. Luckily, the good one won, which is a good sign for me. It means that I am changing the pattern. So I was really in time for my sports, for my gym, and I had a lot of fun, and I was so proud. I felt great. And that is what we need to put our focus on, that if we push through and we do the thing that we did not want to do, you feel this proudness, this feeling happy, successful that you did it. Focus on that feeling, because everything that gives a great feeling, the brain wants more of it. So
Mhm.
that way you stimulate yourself to push through in a lot easier way.
Yes. But it sounds like you primed yourself the night before because you were already telling yourself things that you wanted your brain to notice and to pay attention to and how to think. And the thing is, this is the regularity that with which you probably need to do it. It's not a case of you did it last night, so then great, you worked out today. But it's even if you're not going to work out the next day, it's priming yourself to say, this is who I am. So because a lot of you're run by your subconscious programming. So if
Well,
you suddenly start to make a change, but you've always been someone who doesn't go out and exercise, or you rarely exercise, or you tend to give up on things, that's the program that's still running. So it sounds like you starting to talk to it by saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm choosing to do. But I
that's
think it's very intentional as well. Like this is, I'm doing a meditation practice, and it's not too long. It's like 20-25 minutes a day. I've done 2 weeks. I've never done 2 weeks straight ever, like not with this level of consistency. And I'm noticing quite a few shifts already. And I'm actually excited for each next one because I'm noticing the shift within myself. But in the past, it's just fallen to the wayside because I'd convinced myself I didn't have enough time, or that it's boring. I used to get really bored of it, which is really interesting as well. But this time I'm following through with it. So I think there's shifts within me that have created this different version of me as well. So there's lots of internal work I've been doing over the years. And I've been trying meditation here and there, and then found bits that work. So this was what to do with breath work, which I find is one of the only meditations that works for me. Just sitting there doesn't work for me. I just get so bored. My brain goes into some other world, and I
yeah.
forget why I'm even sat there. I'm like, well, what's even happening? So I found something that resonates. And I think that's one of the key things to tell people. If you really want to get fit and you hate the gym, pick something else to get fit and healthy. Pick something that resonates and works for you and the way that your brain functions, or try something different. So I've tried just sitting there with meditation. I've tried a few other types of meditation, but really breath work works for me the best. And then I feel like I'm just in the right state to then meditate really, really well. I don't usually like the gym, but now I have a trainer who then tells me what to do. So then I find it's much more fun. And then I log all my kind of progress as well. So it's all these things like what can help me to follow through and support me as well, I think is what needs to happen. So if that's having a buddy that goes with you to the gym, or join a sport that you find is really, really fun, that you just enjoy doing, not because just to get fit, but because it brings me joy to do it. So I do play some sports as well. I haven't given those up. I've been doing for years now. I play basketball. It just brings me so much happiness and joy. And so I do that not just for fitness. I just do it for fun. And I love what it brings me. And I love doing it with the other women that I play with. I play some tennis. And again, I love it as a social thing with other people. But then I think I like the gym to work specific muscles. And that's become like a new thing that I wanted to do. But yeah, supporting yourself with the right things around you. So,
Yeah.
like having your kit ready right next to you, having your trainers ready by the door so you know what you're going to wear. So overcoming those little obstacles that you know are going to come up. And like you were saying before, the two voices. I don't want to go. You're going to get so much fitter and you're going to feel good afterwards.
Yeah, but
It's just hard. Yeah.
yeah, but it's also what helps it a lot, and a lot of people are not aware of that, the power of intention and the power of visualization. Because I had one of my clients today for the heart coherence again, and we were talking about that, about how, the power of visualizing. You're actually putting in your brain already what it needs to do, what it needs to follow up with. So if you visualize that you want to do this or that, and you visualize you are doing it, and you have that great feeling with that you are doing that, what is the good feeling with that, then you are actually putting the movement, the action, the situation, you put it all in there already. Like it has to happen that way. For examples, in the sports that is used a lot, like I saw, I don't know how you call that in English. It's like, oh gosh, how do you even call that sport where they have these, gosh, I need to look this up. Sorry for the time.
No, yeah.
Turnen. It's called turnen in Dutch. In English, it's well, they call it gymnastics, but it's gymnastics where they you have to, like in the Olympics as well, they're going that far. But you have that one thing they do the gymnastics with, there's a line that high and this high, and we call it the bridge
The
here.
bars, yes.
And I have a video from that from a girl. She's about 8-9 years old, and she's doing all these weirdo things because she's going into the Olympics, things like that. And there's this one movement she keeps going wrong. Then the trainer picks her off the bridge and puts her on the side and tells her to visualize the exact movement that she needs to do it right. And then you see her standing there with her eyes closed, and you see her making these movements like very small with her hands and her body. So she's actually totally visualizing everything. How does it move? How do I need to do it? And then when she's done, she walks back to the bridge and she starts the whole exercise perfect. And that is because the visualization, you're actually telling your brain that and that is what needs to happen. The brain listens to what you tell it to do. So if you visualize, take like a couple of minutes a day and you visualize that you pull through, that you do this or that, you see yourself going to the gym, you feel yourself doing whatever you do in the gym, and you feel that great feeling like proudness, I did that and it feels good and I feel more fit and things like that, the brain will follow through a lot easier. So you will follow through a lot easier. And then when these two voices are there, the new one will get stronger and stronger. And that's what makes it easier to change habits. So when it comes down to self-care, where we do not take the time for that, visualize yourself doing it. Because you know, everybody knows how important self-care is.
That's like subconscious programming again, isn't it? Because the fact is, the gyms will get quieter come mid to end February. So despite people doing it for 6 weeks, it doesn't seem to build the habit with the habit alone. It's adding on the visualization, priming the brain to tell it, like, this is how I want to be. This is who I choose to be regularly, is what I'm hearing from you. So it's not the habit alone. It's what you do before you do the habit, and
with that
training that it afterwards. And then, like, what also comes to mind is some people, like we talked about pushing through, but I don't think that always feels good to people, where like it's almost like punishing yourself, like just go and you'll feel better, and even when you don't feel like it. And I think there's a slight element of something called loving discipline, where we are kind to ourselves and we listen to our body also. So we don't just say, well, I said I'm going to the gym on Tuesday, I have to go, and that's the only way forward. And like you said earlier on, you were really tired yesterday because you're supposed to go in the evening, so you didn't go when you were really, really tired, but you went the next day when you felt better, and then you did the visualization before you went. That to me is that loving discipline, where it doesn't mean you're not going to go, but you can shift it around, where, you know what, today I just feel exhausted, so today I'm going to give myself a break. And I think that needs to come in with all this self-care. And people forget this. They want to push through and just be like, well, I don't feel like meditating today, and I don't even have the time, and my kids have been not going to bed, and all the time's gone, and I just said I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it, and it's almost like trying to cram it in, and there's an energy behind that as well, which I think is part of why people give up as well, because it doesn't feel good anymore when you're just pushing through.
Yeah,
I
but
think it needs to be a balance of the discipline,
there you go. But it's also
also the
tricky.
self-care,
It's
with the
also
two
tricky.
together.
It's very tricky what you're saying now if it doesn't feel good, because it will not feel good in the beginning. That's the brain telling you, because it doesn't want to change. It's gonna find all these things, all these reasons. You're either feeling sick, you're even feeling tired, still has to be done. And that is the brain tricking you, because it doesn't want to change the old pattern. So there's a trickiness in there. Yesterday it was unexpected.
Yes.
I had to get up that early, and
Mhm.
I only had slept like 3 hours. So I knew I had to do something else. But for
But
today,
is that the brain tricking you? Because that's the thing, like there's the brain tricking you. And I get what you mean. There is a difference. Because if it's just saying, I don't feel like it, then that's the brain just, saying for no good reason. But if the brain's actually saying, or the body's saying, I'm gonna get sick if I keep pushing through today. I don't feel well nourished. Today I need this other thing. That's what I'm talking about. The other side, where you were so exhausted, if you'd gone and exercised a lot and burned yourself out for the sake of saying, I'm just going to have to push through.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking, that side, not the part where it's just like, oh, it's more comfortable to sit down. That's the brain tricking you, not the one that says I'm going to get sick if I keep going because I really feel it in my body. So it's listening to your body, not your brain. That's what
yeah,
I'm
but you
talking about.
literally can get sick. Your brain can literally make you sick to avoid doing the change. Did you know
And
that?
how long would you be sick then? That's the thing. So then you'd get
Oh,
better and
hey,
then you
you
keep.
don't have to, you're not staying sick then, but you will have some ache enough to not go. You might get like a slight flu and have like 2 or 3 days. The brain really can trick you that far if it doesn't want to
Mhm.
change.
But
So
then the body also feels the effects. So then I
yes,
think, are you saying that if you have a slight flu, you should still push through?
no, but you might ask yourself, why do I have the flu right now? It
Mhm.
literally can make, if you really don't want to do something, it literally can make you sick. And
Yeah. Well,
that's less
yeah,
scary.
that's fair. That's fair. But I think then wouldn't you decide to look at your subconscious programming? Like, why am I sick with the flu right now?
Yeah. You
And
have
then
to ask yourself,
why have I got so much resistance building up? And that goes back to self-care then, because then it's like, well, if there's so much resistance, that's the thing to work on, rather than just pushing through to a point where you're making yourself sicker and sicker because your brain doesn't want to do it.
yeah, that's why you have to question yourself. And yeah, really, because I have had it so many times that I would have either a migraine or like feeling so like aches here and there, or a cold. And if I did still go do the thing, I would ask myself, and it was like, hey, how much resistance do I have against this new thing? And I would know it's resistance, because I really don't feel like change, although I want to change, that
Mhm.
and I still would go and do it. The flu was gone within hours, the migraine would be gone, things like that, when I would go for it.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
that is that I just would not give in that easily to my brain. I've
Mhm.
had it so many times happening like that, and I knew the pattern, and I see it all around me, but most people give in. They say, oh, no, I'm sick, or this or that.
Mhm.
So it's really asking yourself what's going on. And because the mind, as soon as you have like, I don't want to, the mind doesn't hear that. It doesn't hear the no's and the never It doesn't hear it. So if you say like, I don't want to be sick, you're gonna be sick. It's
Mhm.
like saying like, hey, don't see that pink elephant. What do you see?
Yeah, the pink elephant. So
There you
instead of
go.
saying, I don't want to be sick, saying I am well, because then the brain
There
doesn't
you
hear
go.
the sick
Say what
part.
you, yeah,
Is so
say
you
what
say
you
it with the
want.
positive rather than the negative of I don't want, because then you attract what you do want, which is very, very true. But I think we're getting into a deeper part of like a deeper part of why people don't follow through, which is that subconscious side of thing, that resistance on the inside to going and doing the self-care, and looking after yourself and trusting that you said you're going to do it, and then you actually go ahead and do it. And what really stops people is that internal resistance to it. So there's something deeper going on within you, which is like, I'm not worth this. And it's so funny because I had that come up for myself where I wasn't paying for the gym for so long. Well, first of all, I didn't like going to the gym. I preferred sports anyway. So I was like, this is my gym. Then it'd be bad weather, or it'd be cold, or it'd be too hot. And then those would be my excuses. And you see how it's almost layered, like there's reasons just going on top of each other. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting. And then I have joined a gym, and I've joined an actually very nice one. And it feels so good to go there. We were
Yes.
talking about this just before we joined the call. It feels clean. The swimming pool is actually not even cold. It's actually like a good temperature that you want to swim in. You don't feel freezing when you come out. It's got the sauna, it's got the steam room, it's got lovely showers. The changing rooms are really like nice, and so you feel so good. And for so long, I told myself that I wasn't worth paying this for. That is a waste of money. Isn't that so interesting that I would tell myself that it would be a waste of money, even though I knew it would be self-care. And so now I do pay for it, and it's really, really nice. So yeah,
Yeah, but for
that's a
you,
shift within myself that's also created that. I remember making a decision in December saying, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I don't care how much it costs now. But I remember making that decision, and then the universe actually sent me a better price. So it was even better. So yeah.
yeah, but for you, it's not, I'm not worth it. And then money wise, other people say, like, I'm not worth it because of life wise. I'm not worth living. They don't know that that's there. I see that in scan a lot of times. I'm not worth it, coming from DNA programming. And so there's a lot of reasons underneath, or can be underneath, a lot of different reasons can be there. And I think the main question is, what are you all thinking? Try to be aware what your thoughts are around. If you want to change something, go for more self-care, because that's what we need. Self-care is also loving yourself, giving yourself permission to be fully you, to relax, to have good health because of that, mental health, physical health, emotional health. So, and that self-care, that self-love, that's where the big problem is. Simply the self-love by itself already. A lot of people have problems there. And that's where I think that's what was going on with me last year also, that so much was going on and things weren't going the way I wanted it to be in certain areas. And that kind of was a pattern I had to work on again last year, to be more in the self-love again. So it's all different for different people. But if you want to change something, if you want to love yourself more, if you want to take care of yourself, start thinking the things that you want and tell that to yourself again and again and visualize it. I mean, even if you visualize it in a split second, the brain will pick it up. And it might take a
Mhm.
little while, but eventually it does.
It's momentum, isn't it? I think sometimes people are like, they want those instant results. But as I was saying, it's
There
taken
you
me
go.
like 4 years to get here. And it's been gradual little shifts with my like building on my confidence, on my self-esteem, and doing the internal work. And, you know, you shift forward, you shift back a little bit, and then you build on trying different things, like trying different meditations was something I brought up. And it's now I'm at this place, but it's not like I didn't do all the work of the 4 years and the previous, you know, the rest of my lifetime that maybe I didn't do as much work. But it's also, I feel like self-care is also when I decided to choose to get a coach. That was also, it was telling myself that I'm worth, going for that, and like, I'm worthy of it. I remember feeling so nervous the first time I ever actually like paid my coach before our session, the first time I ever did it. And I was like doubting myself. I was like, God, am I even worth this much money? What am I even going to say? I remember all this doubt coming up because I'd never ever invested in my mind before like that, and it felt so strange to me. And I literally doubted that. I was almost going to cancel the entire thing. I was like, no, it's just too much. I can't do this. I can't do this for me, but it was for me. And it's been the most nourishing, loving thing I could have ever done for myself. And that was a few years ago. I remember thinking it was worth every penny. And it wasn't cheap, that particular coach. I've had different coaches across time, but each and every time I've learned something new and grown in some way. So I feel like that's also a form of self-care. So even if it's choosing to go to therapy for that issue that, it's been like niggling at you, and you finally decide, you know what, I'm going to take the step this year. So it's not always just the gym or anything like that.
No.
And self-care doesn't always have to even be expensive. It could just be a decision to do, you can even find workouts on YouTube and do them at home and choose a day to do them. And you can go for walks in the forest.
Especially then have somebody with you. Search for somebody to do it together with, because that really helps. That is also the other way support.
Yeah, the joy that you have when you have a good friend with you, or just someone else also going through it all with you. And I really agree with that. But it's a radical act when you have never done it before. Like the actual idea of I'm worthy and I love myself. And if this makes you cringe, someone saying that, look deeper. Yeah, there's something there. There's a reason that you think it's that it feels uncomfortable to you. And so then I would say, well, how much do you truly love yourself? And again, some people say, yeah, I really do. I do. But then look at your actions, because that will always reveal the truth of what's going on in your subconscious mind. And certainly I used to think I was fine. For so long, I'm fine. The word reveals a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. But I was getting by at best, and I wasn't thriving for a long time. And I know that I'm getting closer to being, this version of myself that I'm already so proud of. But I know I'm going in a direction, and I think that's what all of this self-care is. It's momentum and direction towards that common aim, which is I love myself, I'm worthy, and I choose to look after myself and do what I need.
But it's also loving yourself, taking care of yourself is putting you more and more in the direction of creating your own life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
I think that's a great place to draw this one to an end. And that went a lot deeper than I thought it would. Started off with just the gym, then it went down to subconscious beliefs. It was great. Good stuff.
That's where
any closing thoughts from you, Carla?
Look in the mirror. Ask yourself, looking into your eyes, do I love myself enough? Do I take the right actions that show me that I love myself? And if not, dare to admit that and just decide, talk to that mirror and say, like, my old behavior is going to stop now. And I make the decision to do, and then fill in what you really want.
I love that. I think that's a great place to end this. That was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you all next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye.